There's this great story about the country singer Toby and his interaction with the actor, producer, director Clint Eastwood. And Toby ended up writing a very popular and what I consider to be one of his best songs about this interaction. And that interaction and what came of it has influenced me over the years and my involvement in endurance sports and honestly just how I live my life. So Clint Eastwood was hosting this celebrity charity golf event and he invited Toby Keith. And when Toby got there, he was really impressed with how vibrant Clint still was. Clint Eastwood was 89 years old at this time. And he was still directing and acting in and producing Oscar-winning movies. When Toby saw him at this event, he just marveled at the guy's vitality. He asked Clint, "What's your secret?" And Clint Eastwood had been asked this a lot at this point. He was still doing push-ups and pull-ups in between takes of his latest movie. His colleagues asked him the same thing that Toby did. "What's your secret?" And his response was very simple. "Every day I go out and I don't let the old man in." And today I want to talk a little bit about what that means and how I've incorporated that advice into my own life. About 8 years ago, I was doing a lot physically. I was training for a marathon. I was lifting heavy weights, and I had just started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the evenings. And I pretty much went from nothing to doing all of that at once. Not a good idea. I was doing a warm-up set of deadlifts. I haven't even put any weight on the bar yet. And I threw my back out. I had to miss work that day. I couldn't even walk to the bathroom on my own. When I came back to work, I was still struggling. I remember my colleagues, most of whom were a little bit younger than me, not much, but a little younger, were making fun of me and calling me old. And started saying, like, "You're getting old. You have to slow down. What are you doing thinking you can do all this stuff at your advanced age of 30, mind you?" And I remember I had family members who were also making these comments. Hold on, gotta go down a little steep path here. But family members who were also calling me an old man, who were telling me to take it easy. It's time to start slowing down a little bit. It's doing too much. And there was some truth to that. I was doing too much, but it wasn't because I was old, because I was being an idiot. But what really, the point of all that is it made me realize how many people do the exact opposite of what Clint Eastwood says to do. They let the old man in at the first opportunity, meaning they start thinking they're old the second they hear the first creaks and cracks because they got injured or just because that's what society tells people. So there's a little more to this story with Clint. Clint Eastwood, when he was a young actor, started working out with another guy who refused to get old and didn't want to buy into this whole belief system that at the time, as you got older, you should conserve energy and shouldn't be working out. You shouldn't be active. You shouldn't be doing much of anything at an old age. That's what the doctors told people 40, 50, 60 years ago. And this guy who Clint Eastwood trained with didn't want to buy into that. His name was, sorry, showing off a little too much leg here for your comfort. And his name was Jack LaLanne. And Jack LaLanne was this super famous fitness icon. He was like the original fitness influencer. I remember my mom talking about Jack LaLanne when she was growing up, and the guy also lived to be 96 years old. And even at that age, Jack LaLanne was like, age doesn't matter. It's not a thing. Get up and work out every day. And Jack LaLanne was famous for doing stunts like pulling a tugboat with his teeth. He had a program on TV every day where he would do a guided workout. He really was a fitness influencer for his era. And he told Clint his secret. And that was, age isn't a thing. It doesn't matter. You get up and you move and you work out every day. And Clint Eastwood, as a young man, adopted that mentality. So he's been not letting the old man in his whole life. For me, those comments about you're getting old, you need to slow down, they never went away. In fact, they've increased every year. And despite the fact I'm still running marathons, I'm training for an Ironman, I'm still lifting weights, Doesn't matter. If I injure myself doing those things because these are things that people get injured doing, the first thing anyone says is because I'm getting old. Like, no, because I'm running and I'm biking 100 miles a week and I'm swimming 3 to 4 hours a week. It's a lot on the body. And when you sign up for something like that, you accept that there's an injury risk. Sure, my body's aging. Aging is inevitable. But getting old and letting that mindset dictate your life and how you live it, that's a choice. That is a choice. I really believe the secret here is you find something that requires you to get up and move and to do things that keep you active. For me, doing endurance sports has been that thing. It requires me to come out to places like this and to run and walk and bike, and I will feel better and I'll have a better day because I came here. That's it. There's no secret. It's so simple. You get up, you go out every day, and you don't let those thoughts creep in. And you don't let the voices around you discourage you from continuing to move. The way I see it, there's a lot of things around us that are very enticing to draw us into that old person mentality. And you have to resist it. You have to find things that keep you active, keep your mind sharp as well. I think it's really good to have 2 goals at all times, one physical and one mental. And I'm actually going to do an episode about how I combine those things. But for the sake of this episode, I'd start looking into what kind of mental goal you can achieve on top of your physical goals. If you have that, you're always pursuing some sort of mental advancement, you're always pursuing some kind of physical advancement, you're not going to get old. You're going to stay young and sharp, and life is just going to be so much more fulfilling and enriching for you. So it's just something to consider. And I think endurance sports are a great way to do exactly that. I want to wrap up with the question of the day from the outdoor muscle community. Let me set the camera down here real quick. I got a DM on Instagram from one of my followers. I've talked to the guy a few times. He's probably 10, 15 years older than me. So somewhere in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. And he responded to a video I created about training for power, because when you do athletic goals, power in particular is very important. And he said he was a little fearful of doing power movements because of his age. And I told him that power is actually one of the most important things you can train as you get older, because power actually dissipates even faster than strength does with age. But having a combination of power and strength movements in your strength training routine is actually gonna be really good as you get older. And that doesn't mean you have to be doing things like power cleans. Power cleans are a complicated movement no matter what age you are. But there are other ways to incorporate power training into your routine with movements you're already familiar with. So I love box squats, for example. These are a power-based movement. And if you're already familiar with how to do a squat, this is an easy addition to a training program. You can even do it with the upper body. Doing things like medicine ball throws is a great way to incorporate some power movements. There's things like plyometrics, which can help develop power. And those are as simple as including some jumps and hops. So yes, power-focused training can help prevent age-related power reduction. And these are important things to think about when we talk about not getting old. We know that strength and power deplete with age, but we also know that we can prevent that with strength training. If there's anything to take away from this episode, I hope you realize it's that getting old is a choice. Aging is inevitable. We're all going to die someday, but adopting the mindset that you're old, that's a choice. And you can do things mentally and physically to stay young, just like Clint Eastwood did. All right, well, that's it for today's episode. If you're interested in a custom coaching program in which we will work on things like power and strength and preventing that age-related decline, and if you want a program that also includes endurance work that requires you to get up and go experience life in places like this and do things that are physically active out here in the world and nature, you want to train for an event like a trail race or a Spartan race or even a road race, I'd be happy to work with you on achieving that goal. I'll put a link in the description for my pre-written training programs that you can take a look at, see if one of those fits your needs, and my custom coaching membership to see if one of those options that I have available is right for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying this series where I'm getting out in the world and hosting this show while I'm doing the activities that I'm encouraging you to do, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.